We have examined every aspect of the genocidal activity. We have explored the military intelligence. We have tracked the assets. We have uncovered the diplomatic cables. But the one area we have not covered or explored or investigated is information technology. And no one even knew to do this until recently, because now we're in the computer age. And so I decided that I would find out just how far the Solutions Company went in helping the Nazis. The machine that was in the Holocaust Museum said only that it worked on census. But I know the IBM mindset, and their mindset is to anticipate your client's needs. Know your customer and anticipate their needs. And so I assembled a team, slowly, difficult, of some 100 researchers, translators, historians, volunteers in 7 countries working in 50 archives, and we accumulated some 20,000 documents, a few of which I have brought with me here today. When I travel with documents. And a picture emerged. And that picture is that IBM and its president, Thomas J. Watson, established and engineered a dynamic strategic business alliance with Nazi Germany from the very first moment in 1933 right through the war. And this business alliance, this technological alliance, endowed Adolf Hitler with the ability to accelerate and to automate every aspect of Jewish persecution, from the identification to the social expulsion, to the confiscation, to the ghettoization, to the deportation, and yes, to the extermination. I'll go through a few things. IBM has said that it severed all relations with its German subsidiary when the war broke out in 1939. Here's a copy of the New York Times. Right after the invasion of Poland, September 39. This is the September 13th edition. 3 million Jews are going to be removed immediately, say the Nazis, from Poland. And they wonder, how can this be done without their physical extermination? Anyone will be able to examine these later. At the same time, on September 9th, the German managers of IBM write a personal letter to Thomas J. Watson, directly, who personally supervised the German subsidiary, hour to hour, during the entire pre-war period. He was in Germany 2 and 3 times a year. And they say, you will understand that under today's conditions, a certain need has arisen for such machines that we do not build yet in Germany. They wanted the high-speed, all-powerful alphabetizers. And then they say, and this offer which you made to us to take these machines, this will be undoubtedly greatly appreciated in many and especially responsible circles. And those alphabetizers were approved a few days later, not in any letter, but in a telephone conversation to the Swiss office, which was relayed to the Berlin office. And it says, if agreement has been expressed to our keeping the machines I had asked for until further notice on the basis of a proposition, and this information was transmitted by the European General Manager, Mr. Schott, from Mr. Watson. And here are the serial numbers. Here are the model numbers of the first alphabetizing machines that came in to Nazi Germany thanks to Thomas J. Watson at just when the newspapers were reporting that Poland had been invaded and that 3 million Jews were about to be exterminated. Now, we do not ask Mr. Watson or IBM to be aware of military intelligence. We do not ask them to be aware of diplomatic cables, but we assume that what's in the New York Times, what's on the radio and the newsreel is something that they would be aware of. And I constantly quote the New York Times because that is where they lived. If they would have lived in Boston, I would have quoted the Boston Globe. And as is known, the Jews at that time, just a few months later, were congregated at railroad depots in well-known documents which are now being looked at again today in a different light, and a continual census was taken of them, and that this was called the final goal, the Endziel. And this was a step toward what they considered to be, but did not verbalize as the final solution. Now, let's look at some more documents. Here are some contracts. I want everyone to see this. Contract. It's with the Dutch administrator of Watson's subsidiary in Holland. Except the contract is not with the Holland subsidiary. The contract is not with the German subsidiary. The contract is with International Business Machines Corporation in New York. This is an example on one of the documents that Mr. Robert Wolf found in about the first 5 minutes of this task. They're right in the National Archives. There's dozens of these. And these, of course, are dated 1942. Now, what's interesting is that after this invasion of Poland that I spoke about, where these alphabetizing machines went in, Watson then established a special German subsidiary in occupied Poland to service the occupying forces, maintained a printing plant at 6 Rymarska Street, directly across the street from the Warsaw Ghetto, printed up 20 million punch cards, and the leading customer was the railroads. This is not just a book about identification. This is not just a book about census. The railroads ran on punch cards. In fact, this is not even a book about the German subsidiary. We're talking about all the subsidiaries, because the documentation shows that IBM rushed to put in new subsidiaries in cadence with the Nazi takeover of Europe. Right after Poland is invaded, he puts in a German subsidiary in occupied Poland. Just before Holland is invaded, he rushes a special Dutch subsidiary in, all reporting directly to New York. Now, I know that IBM will say that it lost control of its subsidiary at some point. It had no control over these people after the war started. October 9th, 1941. To Thomas J. Watson, European General Manager, Mr. Lear, writes a letter, and in this letter, he's in Berlin, reporting directly to New York, and he says, on the occasion of my visit to Berlin, I also settled a few pending matters, such as the machines blocked in Poland and the Romanian census. In other words, the European General Manager is in Berlin, writing back to New York on October 9th, 1941, unblocking machines stuck in war-torn Poland and moving them into Romania, where in the middle of one of the most heinous and bloody exterminations of the war, and the very next day, he sends a detailed explanation to the rest of the senior staff, and he tells them, machines blocked in Poland, Romanian census, that he intervened with Mr. Woods, the U.S. commercial attaché, to moved these 17 machines, blocked in Poland. They also got in touch with the Foreign Currency Commission of Germany, called the Devisenstelle, Foreign Currency Office, and various German authorities. Quote, as regards the census, and especially in view of the fact that neither we nor Die Homag, that's the name of the German subsidiary, were able to get any precise information on just what they need, he assigned a German employee to go to Romania from Berlin, and also a member of the German Statistical Office from Berlin to go to Romania. And the Romanian operation was not an operation of the German subsidiary. It was directly under the control and profit center of the New York office. And as is known, there were horrific brutalities in Romania, and the war crime records show that many of the intelligence officers relied upon their liaisons in the census and statistical offices to get this information. You know, it's very interesting, but here's a letter from Watson Belge, the Belgian subsidiary. It's actually in 1939. IBM is at the height of organizing the Japanese aircraft industry prior to Pearl Harbor. That's somebody else's book. And he says, it's none of our business to judge the reasons why an American corporation should or would help a foreign government. We as IBM men are interested only in the technical side of the application of our machines.